The French have a word, jouissance, which, among other things, evokes pleasure, play, passion, and transgression. We could say, beyond the pleasure principle. However, to speak of jouissance with a text-to-speech app is the end of jouissance, and possibly, humanity.
DANGERFIELD, Dangerfield. You know, when I look over my last 50 years, the beautiful moments, the passionate moments, the romantic moments. I mean, look at the words: beauty, passion, romance. The moments that have made my heart feel like it's crying. The saddest moments, the poetic moments. And if we use Julia Kristeva's definition of poetic language, I told you this many times. Any language which threatens the limits of its own enclosure. Now, take that away from language and put it to life. What is poetic living? Poetic living is any living that threatens the limits of its own enclosure. I sent a message to Mr. Me in it earlier, and I told him about this study I read. Like, this is a real study, and it's not like an anomaly. It's not anomalous. Yeah, that's better, isn't it? It's not anomalous. There's many of such papers out there that if you become habitual and routine, time goes faster. Now, time doesn't, but your experience of it does. Think about age 13 and then think about age 18, 5 years. It was an eternity, wasn't it? It was an eternity because you're always doing new things. You're always feeling new things, learning new things, trying new things. And so your experience of time slows down because you're engaged with it on a more profound and significant level. But as you get older, you get more routine and habitual. I know what I like. I know what I don't like. I do this. This is what I do Friday. Thursdays are like this. And your experience of time speeds up because you're not engaged with it so much. And to be fair, I think no one would argue this. The last thing you want in your latter years is for time to go faster. When you're, let's be honest, running out of time, you want it to slow down a bit. And so to do that, you need to be doing new things. You need to be changing, essentially growing, doing what you've done as a teenager, doing what you've done in your 20s. Keep growing, think about things differently, approach things from different angles. Don't say, no, I don't like that. No, I don't do that. Well, why? What? Because you never have. That's not a good enough reason. So when I think of my life and I think of the passionate times, the beautiful times, the romantic times, the poetic times, the times when I threatened the limits of my own enclosure, which is limits I put on myself, when I stepped over that line, when I took a risk, but when I stepped out of my emotional comfort zone, when I stepped out of who I think I am, when I became vulnerable, because that's what love is. Talking to a mate the other day was talking about not liking having sex with females. And the reason was scared of falling in love. And I understand that, because if you fall in love, you're vulnerable. And men don't like being vulnerable. Men aren't vulnerable. But you have to do that. And so when you are in love, there's a vulnerability about you because you can get hurt now. Not necessarily her just leaving you, but all sorts of things can happen. She can get ill, she could die, anything can happen. But what you do as a man, you protect you and your partner, you protect the love. And like I say, when I look going back to what I originally said, my original statement about women being the cornerstone of my existence, I mean it. And what I actually mean is love. Love has been the element that has driven my life. Because when I think back, if you ask me to write a list of all the things that actually meant something, all the things that if I was on my deathbed and someone said, go on, quick. What was the best things? Imagine I had a kid and he was too young for me to explain it to him. I'd quickly jot it down. I'd say to him, fall in love. Fall in love with people. Men and women, not sexually necessarily, but fall in love. Take that extra step. Fall in love with projects. Fall in love with literature. Fall in love with art. Fall in love with things. Make them count in your life.
Sweet, sweet.